Gosh.
Yeah, because then you get all overwhelmed and you're like, I don't know what to do. And then if you do too many things at once, you don't do any one thing really very well. And so right now we are really focused on building Pistachio Pay really, really well. And I'm super proud of it. We have a prototype now. It's our second version. It looks great. And we just secured what's called a pilot, which means we get to take this into the hands of people that are coming out of homelessness and addiction and back into society. And we're going to give them Pistachio Pay for free so that they can test it and use it, so that will help reduce the risk of them using drugs again or ending up on the street again and getting back into those old patterns. So we're just like freaking out excited. It's gonna be great.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it too. And speaking of the name Pistachio, where did the name come from? Like, how did you come up with such a name like Pistachio?
Right? Weird, right? I thought to myself, I don't know, like, what if people don't know won't know how to spell it right? Sometimes I don't know where I'm dyslexic, so the I's and the E's and stuff they get. There's no E in pistachio. Okay. Anyway, okay, I'm not great at spelling. So the reason thought of the name. So I was on the phone with Kamiko. I was telling her all about this. And as I'm talking to her, I was eating Wonderful pistachios. You know that brand, Wonderful? They're the ones in the market. Anyway, hope they can do a deal with them. Hey, partners. No, but everybody gets a free bag of pistachios when they sign up for Pistachio Pay. But I was eating pistachios, and as I was talking to her, it just clicked. I mean, pistachios are green. Money's green, pistachio, pay. It's, alliteration. It worked. And then like later I was reading the Bible and I was thinking about the story of Joseph. And I was like, I people have told me a lot in my life many times that my story can sometimes resemble the story of Joseph. You know, Joseph in the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat, that guy. And so there's, when I don't know how much you know about the story, but his brothers basically throw him in a pit. He ends up in Egypt. He ends up being like right hand of the Pharaoh. And at that point, there was a big famine in the land, and Joseph had created these storehouses and stored up all this food. And so his brothers came to Egypt and they brought gifts. And this is something I had no idea about until someone pointed it out. And they brought gifts or until I read the Bible, and then someone was like, "Don't you see? This is like why?" And I'm like, "Oh my gosh." So they bring these gifts, and one of the gifts was pistachios. And pistachios are actually really valuable. And so they're not just a nut; they're a really valuable nut. And so when his brothers brought them, I feel like I'm botching this story. They didn't know who their brother was. They didn't know that was their brother up there as the pharaoh. And it's just a really interesting story. So anyway, I just thought there's a kind of a cool correlation, like because they're symbolic of something that's a premium product, right? And so for someone who's struggling with money all the time, and this is where I'm talking about what the person was like, don't you see the correlation? But when someone is struggling with money, the last thing you feel is luxurious. You can't afford maybe pistachios when you're broke. You're gonna get peanuts. But so what I was thinking was, wow, like this is how I see it symbolically. We're trying to help people enjoy their money, and so we're trying to get them that premium nut, if that makes sense. That was a little bit of an ADHD storytelling moment, but hopefully it made sense.
Yeah, I definitely understand. It was a pretty long story, but also very interesting where the name came from.
Thank you. Yeah.
And by the way, I wanted to ask you, how does living with ADHD affect you?
In many ways. In some ways I see it as a wonderful thing. My brain moves at light speed. I always have ideas. I'm hyper creative. I can hyper focus on stuff. I never give up. I'm super tenacious. There's lots of really great things about it, and there's some things that are struggles for me, right? Like while I can be hyper focused, I can also struggle to focus on things that really aren't interesting to me. Um, because I have so many thoughts, I struggle to sleep at night sometimes. Or I wake up really early in the morning, which has been the thing I've been doing the last year, just waking up at 4 with a million thoughts. And so I just start working. And so that's how it affects me. But instead of trying to cure it, I'm like, no, I'm leaning into who I am. This is who I am, and I'm learning things to help me communicate better with others, to help others understand me, and so that I understand them as well. And learning some things that help me regulate and be successful in those areas that I just named because you don't have to settle for that. You don't have to say, well, I just don't sleep. No, you can we can find ways. And so I've coaches around me and therapists and things that help me be the most healthy, best version of myself. Enjoy the superpower side of ADHD and maybe, mitigate some of those other more difficult issues.
Wow, definitely sounds a lot like me. I'm
Yeah.
also with a super duper awesome brain. Like I can remember things really, really well. I come up with lots of genius ideas,
Yeah.
and it's also hard for me to sleep at night sometimes because I just keep moving around in my bed and there's just too much going on in my brain where I'm just trying to get some sleep, but it's
Yeah.
just all keeping me awake and I just can't fall back to sleep. And that's what I kind of call a sensory overload,
Oh yeah.
where there's just too much going on inside my brain.
Yeah.
And even when I'm trying to sleep, my brain just doesn't know what to focus on first. And it's kind of overwhelming for me, especially when there's just a million thoughts in your head and you're trying to get some sleep because then you'll just be tired all day and you don't want that.
No, because we want to be our best selves and we want to achieve things, don't we? And then it's like a bummer because we're too tired. I totally, you are speaking my language and I see you.
Yeah, I definitely see you in my language as well.